Hi guys! Welcome to my first book haul. Yay! So I'm just going to jump right in and show you guys the books that I have because I have 14 of them and I don't want to take forever to show you guys. So the first books that I have for you guys are both by the same author and are in a trilogy. And that is The Final Empire and The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. Book 1 and Book 2 in the Mistborn trilogy. So basically I bought these because I've heard really good things about it, that they're like epic fantasies and I love fantasy. And also I had to hunt though. I had to like hunt for these covers. It took me a while, but I finally found them just because they are. So I'm not really sure what this is entirely about. Well, I know, but it's really hard to explain. So there's this mist that rules the night and there's this Lord Ruler who rules the world. And it's for 1,000 years. There's ash that falls from the sky, and there's people called the Ska who are slaves under the Lord Ruler who reigns over the land. And then there's people who can control metals, I think. Something about controlling something and powers. But I know it sounds really cool. I'm sorry, but this is really hard to explain. So I am extremely excited to read these, and I'll read these soon because it's the fall, and during the fall I'm really into kind of deeper subjects in fantasy for some reason. It's kind of strange, but it's just how I roll. So I will probably be doing a review of this one soon, and then I'll be able to explain it a lot better then. So the next book that I have is a book that I've been wanting to buy for a long time. It has a really gorgeous cover, and it is... Ow! It stabbed me. And it is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. So this book is about two twins, Henry and Ava Lavender, who are both kind of more peculiar. Like Henry is mute and Ava is born with the wings of a bird. And I think she struggles to find her place in the world most of her life until she starts delving deeper into her family's past. And then she meets a boy and, you know, stuff happens. So this one I will be reading soon as well, just because I wanted to read it for a very long time. This and its gorgeous cover. Gorgeous. Gorgeous dog. This next author I've heard a lot about as well, and it is The Foreshadowing by Marcus Sedgwick. So I've heard so much about Marcus Sedgwick. He wrote She Is Not Invisible, that I've been wanting to read as well. Anyways, all of Marcus Sedgwick's books, all of his ideas and just the synopsis of all his books are just so interesting. Like every time I read a synopsis for one of his books, I'm like, I want to read it. So basically my TBR list is growing with Marcus. I've heard a lot about, not this book, but his other book, Midwinter Blood. It's actually in the cover here. I'm gonna buy this book just because it matches this cover and because I want to read it. I mean, look at the cover though. So pretty, right? So this book is about a 17-year-old girl who lives in 1915 and can see the future. And she ends up seeing the future of her two brothers who are at war. So, and I think she might see her own future because it says who would want to see the end of their own story. So she might see her future too, but I'm not sure. This book, super excited to read it. It's going to be awesome, so I'm going to read it soon as well. I've got my reading cut. This next book I really didn't plan on buying. I actually didn't want to buy it, but I mean, I'll read it, whatever. It's Invisibility by Andrea Kremer and David Levithan. I actually bought this for a friend for her birthday, and then I got home and I realized she's probably not going to like this. So I just, instead of returning it, I was like, yeah, I'll just keep it, whatever. Like, I wanted to read it, but I didn't really want to buy it, but whatever. It was like 10 bucks. Who cares? So this book is about a boy named Stephen, or Stefan, who is invisible, and he was born that way, and he's always been invisible, until he meets Elizabeth, who can see him. And I think it's probably a love story, kind of, paranormal stuff. Burial Rites by Hannah Kent is the next book that I have, and it's going to be a movie with Jennifer for you guys, and it is about a girl named Agnes who is charged with the brutal murder of two men and is sentenced to death, so an execution. And she's sent to this house where she lives with a family for a little while before her execution, and it's just a story up to her execution. So I think it'll probably go back into the past and talk about her life before and also in this movie. And I've heard that this is a very somber book, so I want to read it more in October maybe, and like more when it's dark outside and fall-y. So this is an adult historical fiction, and I'm super... Sold by Patricia McCormick is the next book that I have, and this book it's a really important topic. It's about a 13-year-old girl who lives in Nepal with her family. They own a farm, or they own a farm with crops, and one day a monsoon washes away all the family's crops. So her stepfather is like, girl, you gotta go get a job to support your family. And she's like, okay. So he introduces her to this glamorous man who's like, yeah, I'll find you a job as a maid in the city. And then he sells her into the sex trade, and she ends up in a brothel. So it's basically about her story, I think, trying to escape, maybe, form friendships that enable her to survive in this terrifying new world. Yeah. This is a really important book just because it's something that happens daily to happening. I'm excited to read it though because I've heard good things. I might cry because of the topic, but we'll see. I'll probably do a review. This next book that I have, I actually saw on Tumblr before the day I bought it. I saw it on Tumblr, and it is A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. It's a very pretty cover. So it's about two young teens who are in the same creative writing class, and basically they're perfect for each other, and everybody can see that they are except for themselves. So it sounds really, really cute, but the only thing that it kind of a turn off for me is that it's told from 14 different perspectives. I mean, I can't even handle 3. 14? I mean, I'll try. I'll definitely try because it seems like a really cute book and I want to read it really badly, but I'm kind of a little worried. I am planning on reading more somber, kind of scary and like heavy topics this month, so this will be a cute filler if I'm feeling in the mood for something cute and light. The Girl of Fire and Thorn Stories is the next book that I have by Rae Carson, and this is just a couple short stories from her trilogy, The Girl of Fire and Thorns. I read the first and second, and I own the third. I just haven't read it yet. So the only thing that I'm kind of worried about is if I should read this before or after The Bitter Kingdom, which is the third book in a trilogy. I just don't want this to ruin anything for me if I read it before. So if any of you guys watching have read her trilogy, can you please tell me if I should read this before or after the last book? I'm not sure, and I don't want to... Blind by Rachel DeWaskin is the next book that I have, and this book sounds super cool. It's about a girl named Emma who has my name. She is in an accident and loses her eyesight. So she's 15, she's blind, and she has to relearn everything. So relearn how to walk without seeing, how to do her daily routine, you know, stuff like that. And I think this sounds super cool because it's not something we read a lot about in YA. Like, when's the last time you read about someone, like a protagonist in a YA book that's blind or can't hear or can't talk, you know? I think that someone who's blind, mute, or deaf, we never see that in YA. So I think this is a really different and interesting book, and I'm super excited to find out how the author kind of describes sight and how the author describes things without sight. And the next book that I have is pretty creepy looking and sounding, and that is 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. I've wanted to read this for a long time, ever since I heard Raylene over at Padfoot and Prongs talk about it. And this book is about 3 teens from different countries, so Norway, Japan, and France, who get the opportunity to go to the moon, and then something sinister is waiting for them there. So I think maybe like a monster or something. Anyways, I'm definitely going to read this in October to kind of put me in the mood for Halloween, and I may or may not do a review on this, depending on what... So the last 2 books that I have for you guys are 2 books by the same author, and one of them I've had for a while, but I wanted to put in this haul because I'm currently reading it, and the other one just came out recently. And so that is The Assassin's Blade and Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. So I love Sarah J. Maas, and I love the Throne of Glass series, and I've been waiting for Air of Fire for like a year and a half. I'm so happy to have it in my hands. It's so big too. Oh, and I don't want to tell you guys too much about it just because I don't want to ruin anything. So Selena, badass, kick-ass girl, just read it. If you like fantasy, you will love. So So I'm actually reading The Assassin's Blade first because I think it's going to give me a deeper understanding of Selena's past and why she acts the way she does now. I've heard that it does help for Heir of Fire, so I just figured, you know, I have Heir of Fire, there's no rush for me to read it. I mean, the next book probably isn't going to come out for another year and a half, so I might as well take my time and read this one. It's so beautiful. How many books I got? I bought 14 books. And I'm going to try to carry this to show you guys. I don't think this is going to work, but we will try. They're not even facing the same way. That's okay. Oh my god. 14 books. Oh, 14 books. Ugh. Look at these skills, guys. Oh. Okay, well, I'll see you guys next video. Thanks so much for watching.